Speaking of Mr. Heineke, Heineke actually has played really well these last two games. I mean, accurate passes, smart decisions with the football. He hasn't turned it over in 2 weeks, if I remember correct. I don't think he had any interceptions against Tampa. He did not throw anything really dangerous last week either. Like, I don't even remember a football last week that was like, you kind of like got almost intercept. No, it was like everything was nice and crisp. Like the only thing I think he did a little bit too much was maybe take a sack. I think he took like 3 sacks that he probably shouldn't have, but he protected the football. And what the biggest thing I've noticed in this team differently in these last 2 games is when we get into those third and manageables, Heineke is doing a great job of finding the open man, getting it to him quickly, and getting the first downs and keeping these drives alive, hence why we're crushing it in the time of possession battle. And there's a whole sector of the fan base that thinks that we don't need to draft a quarterback. Taylor Heineke is the future of this football team. With these last 2 games, is there any credence to that? Like, do you think there's actually a pathway for Taylor Heineke to earn the starting job in 2022?
I mean, there's a pathway, sure. But that pathway will have to lead to us being in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. If there's no playoffs, he's not. Now, he may be the starter going into, period. He may be, and I don't care if he is, because that gives time for the franchise quarterback that we're going to draft to sit. So, I mean, if he would literally have to take us to the playoffs, I think that's what's going to have to take. If he just run it and we win out or something like that, I mean, what you gonna say? No,
it's gonna
because then you gotta look at if we win out, we're going to win a playoff game. Mm-hmm. We're going to win a playoff game. And if we were to win out, we probably have a higher seed. So we may even win the division. So
if we went out, we would be 11-6. That's kind of a crazy thought process to think about, sitting at 2-6 and now winning out potentially.
And it's very doable.
It's not out of the question. It's really not.
Dallas. Beating Dallas twice is probably the hardest thing we get. That's what I say.
Easily. Yeah, definitely the hardest for sure.
But the lucky thing about it is, let's say maybe, we win and then we beat Dallas our first game, and then later on in the season, Dallas we pretty much won enough games. Let's just sit out some players. And then we run the tables, we get 11-6. So, I mean, but for Heineke, I think, he's going to be here regardless next year. I think he's the starter going into next season, but I don't think he's the guy. I think he's just the starter going into next year.
So you think even if we draft a quarterback, you think he's maybe going to be the starter? Okay, so what if we drafted Sam Howell in the first? You think Heineke still is the first, the first string quarterback going into 2022? Or if we drafted a Matt Corral or something like that?
If we
draft a guy in the top 15 picks, do you think he actually
it depends on who the guy is. If it's Howell's starting.
Okay, so if you think Howell, so there's certain quarterbacks in the first round you think it's not. Do you think we draft a quarterback in the first round? Because, if we get, let's say, to 8 and 9 and have the 15th pick overall, theoretically, the quote-unquote good quarterbacks are going to be somewhere in the top 10, maybe the top 5, potentially. Do you think if Kenny Pickett's there or somebody like that is there, do we go after one of those guys?
No. I stand by that. No. I don't. If it's not Howe or if it's not Ritter, I'm not drafting none of them.
Well, I'm kind of asking for a prediction. I understand what you want. I know
my prediction is going to go as you already know. What my prediction is
okay.
I believe teams are literally going to listen to these idiots of analysts. Go ahead and pick Kenny Pickett. Go ahead and pick Malik Willis. Go ahead and pick Matt Corral. All 3 of those quarterbacks, they're probably going to go before Ritter. Good. I want them to. because those are not the quarterback that you want at all. I mean, Kenny Pickett, I mean, if he lands in the right, organization. But Matt Corral and what's his name? Malik Willis. Okay, that people want to hype him up. You be crazy and you draft those guys. Cool. One or two, that's what you want. And then we just sitting right there where we are. We get what we want. We don't have to move. We don't have to be top 5.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can see that. I want to draft a quarterback. I'm still not on the Heineke bandwagon. I can completely acknowledge that he's looked really, really good in these last 2 weeks. There's no denying it. Like, I think of only one pass seriously that was dangerous, and it was completed. Like, it got tipped by one of the, I think it was one of the linebackers from Tampa Bay, where it ended up getting completed by DeAndre Carter anyway. But outside of that, it's been nice, crisp passes, accurate, great mobility with his legs to be able to buy time. That 4th and 3 this week was incredible, getting it to John Bates, throwing it off his back foot, avoiding the rush. Like, a guy basically had a clear shot at him. He was able to avoid that, throw a sidearm throw to complete it on 4th and 3. I like what I see from Heineke. And if we had to start him in a pinch, I think we have one of the best backups in the league in that situation. I think he's awesome. Still, I am not on board that I think that he is the franchise quarterback that a lot of fans, and I don't even know if I would, like, what percentage of fans think this, but there's clearly a lot of fans that are big fans of Heineke and don't want to make any other moves other than for backups and him be the starter. But one thing that I criticize him for, and I'm going to be the last thing on this, that I criticize him for that I've given him credit, he stayed healthy this entire time.
I've been said that. I said that wasn't an issue or a problem, but y'all don't listen.
He had 3 starts, 3
and
injuries.
I told
Come on, you can't say it wasn't a problem.
He was playing for a job.
He's still playing for a job.
No,
but
is he? He got a 2-year
he's definitely
deal.
playing much tamer football.
He was playing to stay on the football team. Now he's playing he knows he's on the football team. Now he's earned it. Now he don't have to go out and do what he did. Now in the playoffs, if he want to get anywhere, he might just have to play that way.
Yeah.
But hey.
Fair. Oh, this is a fair question. Yeah, bridge quarterback. We both talked about this. There's actually not a lot in the free agency market.
Bridge quarterback, Heineke. Period. Everything we have is on the roster. We don't need to go out and go get no more quarterbacks unless you want to bring in the 3rd string. I'm not going. Heineke is the. You don't get no better than that. You really don't.
You're really not. I mean, Marcus Mariota is not going to be any better than Heineke.
No.
Mitch Trubisky is not going to be any better than Heineke. These are the kind of free agents. Like, people, I don't know who people think that are free agents out there, but Aaron Rodgers is not a free agent you'd have to trade for him. Russell Wilson's not a free agent you'd have to trade for him. Matt Ryan is not a free agent you'd have to trade for him. Derek Carr is not a free agent you'd have to trade for him. Like, some of these names that actually may be worth mentioning to become a starter here as a bridge quarterback are not somebody you could just sign off the streets. Like, it's names like Mitch Trubisky, Marcus Mariota, there was a couple other names, but Tyrod Taylors of the world, like Andy Daltons. Like, it's not, there's really nobody that's coming out on the market that you think, okay, I can make a play for a quarterback like that. All right, let's get into this.